everyone, it's Jen, and welcome to week 1 of the Real Women of Philadelphia Cooking Challenge, where I am challenged to cook with either a Philadelphia cream cheese or a Philadelphia cooking cream. And this week is the cream cheese for an appetizer. So what we're making is a Philadelphia cream cheese en croûte with a raspberry, chipotle, and bacon sauce. It is delish and your guests are gonna love it, I promise. So let's head over and start making our raspberry sauce. So we're making our raspberry sauce, and all this is put in 2 cups of fresh raspberries. Now if raspberries aren't in season, go ahead and use frozen, but I definitely prefer the fresh. Of course, I have rinsed them prior to putting them in. And I'm going to add in 1 cup of sugar. Now depending on the sweetness of your strawberries, you don't have to quite add so much, so just kind of see how it is. And then half of a cup of water just to kind of get it going. And we're going to put our heat on a medium just to allow for all the raspberries to kind of break down and become like a syrup-like consistency. This will take about 10-15 minutes or so, and while this is sitting out, I'm going to head back over and rock out our chipotles that are in an adobo sauce. I'm going to chop up a chipotle, which is nothing more than a smoked jalapeno, a red jalapeno to be exact. And I have it in some adobo sauce, and I'm really only going to use 1 of these because it is a little bit on the hot side. Again, it's a jalapeno, but if you're feeling a little courageous, go ahead and use 2. So we just want kind of a subtle smokiness in the background of this raspberry sauce, and you know, kind of a little bite too, you know what I mean? So let's go ahead and chop this up. Looking good. And we'll put it in our bowl. And then what I'm going to take is some Oscar Mayer bacon bits. I love these. It's something that's already done. You don't have to cook the bacon on the stove or in the oven. And I have a 3-ounce package of this bacon bits. And I'm going to use about half to 2 ounces or so. So I'm just going to pour it in there. And so when they're eating the cheese and stuff, you're going to get kind of that crunchy bite of the bacon as well. It's going to be so delish. So let me check up on our raspberries. Once they're finished, I'm going to pop it in here and stir it all around and set that aside. And we'll get started with our cream cheese en croûte part. So I'm finishing with the raspberry, chipotle, and bacon sauce. It is so good. If you want to strain out the raspberries though to get some of the seeds, you definitely can, but I like that extra texture. And look how thick it is. Oh, it's so good. Don't worry about cooling it either. One last thing you have to worry about. So let's set this aside and let's get started with the en croûte part, which really is a French word meaning food wrapped up in a pastry dough. So I have some puff pastry that I found in my frozen food section of the store, and I thawed it out in my refrigerator overnight so it's a little bit easier to handle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flour out my surface just so it doesn't stick on there. Perfect. And I'm going to take this out, and this is so good. It's layer upon layer and layer of dough with little bits of butter in the middle. Oh, it's so delish. And so easy. So we're going to open this up very gently. I'm just going to flour this surface. And I have a rolling pin, and I'm just going to kind of roll it out a little bit longer and a little bit wider for our cream cheese filling that's going into it, our Philadelphia cream cheese filling. So I just finished rolling out this puff pastry just to kind of get all the kinks out again. And from here, I'm going to add in our raspberry, chipotle, and Oscar Mayer bacon bits in here. So we're just going to slather this around, leaving a little bit of an edge because we are going to use an egg wash to help seal it all. So I'm just going to keep going around. And if you have some of this sauce left over, go ahead and pop it in the fridge or even in the freezer. And the next time you make pork chops, put this over top. Oh my gosh, it is so good. So this is looking delish. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my egg wash, that I have 2 eggs along with 2 teaspoons of water, and I'm just going to brush around the outside. That way we can seal it up very easily. It acts like a glue. So So what I'm going to do now is I'm adding the Philadelphia cream cheese, a third less fat. And I actually popped this in the freezer so it was a little bit harder, and I'm just going to set it right down in the middle of all of this goodness. And I'm going to pull up this puff pastry and just start covering this entire block of cheese. It is literally like a little present. So I'm going to take a baking sheet that I have lined in parchment paper, easy cleanup, and I'm going to flip this over, and we're going to bake it in the oven for 25 minutes or until the puff pastry is a golden brown. So our puff pastry is out of the oven. The only thing that I forgot to mention to you is I want you to brush the top of your pastry dough before you put it in the oven with a little bit of that egg wash, just to help get it nice and brown. So, moment of truth, let's cut into this and see how fantastic it is. This dough is so flaky, you're going to love this puff pastry. And I'm hoping that this cheese is going to be nice and ooey and gooey. Let's see. Oh yes, that is perfect. You can see the layer of the raspberry all around the Philadelphia cream cheese with the puff pastry. I'm so excited. Let's go ahead and try. I'm just going to cut off just a little sliver of this to give it a try. Oh yum, all this cheese is coming out. And go ahead and use a spoon if you need to kind of spoon it up. This is delish, and all of your guests are going to love this. And if you want some more of the raspberry sauce, if you didn't use it all, you could definitely put that on your plate too. I'm going to go ahead and give this a try. I already smell the smokiness of the chipotle and the bacon bits, the Oscar Mayer bacon bits. Yum. Oh, that's so good. The raspberries with the cream cheese, that sticks out amazingly. Now, anytime I have cheese, I love dipping crackers, and I really love these Triscuits Thin Crisp. These are amazing. So let's try it with that. Oh my gosh. Philadelphia cream cheese is so awesome. I would say week 1 is a success. Join me again next time on my next challenge of the Real Women of Philadelphia Cooking Challenge.